Welcome. I'm Dracattack, and this is Plus Profile number 46. A Plus Profile is where I take fans of the upcoming MMORPG Pantheon Rise of the Fallen, and we learn a little bit more about them. Today we have Lafael. Lafael is a longtime Pantheon supporter, and he is from across the ocean. He's in Australia. So I'm so excited to show you this profile. Onward and upward.
What will your name be for Pantheon Rise of the Fallen?
Lafael is a name for a druid that I make whenever I play an RPG or MMO. So if I play a druid, it's going to be Lafael. Other than that, I have a number of other names that I normally go by based on the class I play.
What race class combination are you going to play for Pantheon Rise of the Fallen?
That's a good question. For me right now, I feel it's too early to answer that question. I initially thought a druid, but having seen some of the other classes and wanting to see how some of the new classes play, like the cleric and paladin, I think I'm just going to wait. However, I feel I usually tend to play classes like a race class combo that is somewhat uncommon and offers role-playing opportunities. So I'm thinking along those lines, maybe a dark Mia druid, however you pronounce it, or an elf warrior. I was surprised that an elf warrior is a thing, but not an elf paladin.
What feature are you currently most looking forward to in Pantheon Rise of the Fallen?
I do love the perception system, the dispositions, and even climbing, but I'm really just wanting a throwback to old school interdependence on one another, grouping, camping, trains. I'm not sure if you classify that as a feature, but the experience is a combination of different features in the game. So if I can just have that, I'll be happy.
How did you hear about Pantheon Rise of the Fallen?
I think it was from P99. I do recall hearing about the Kickstarter and some gaming websites back in the day, but there was a lot of talk about it from the P99 community.
Do you have a guild for Pantheon Rise of the Fallen?
Currently, I do not. I am ungilded. My preference would be to join one that has a strong Aussie cohort or off-peak contingent, just because it makes it a bit easier to play in the Australian time zones.
What is your favorite MMORPG that is not Pantheon, and what did you like about it most?
That would have to be EQ. I have played a number of other MMOs throughout the years, like many of us, but EQ was the first, and none have managed to captivate my attention like it. For vanilla EQ, so back in 1999, it would have easily have to be that everyone was reliant on one another in some capacity, and that your reputation on the server actually meant something and in itself had value. The sense of exploration and wonder and fear, there was so much about EQ that enchanted me, and I wonder how much of that was intentional by design, or maybe it was just the right game at the right time. P99 has managed to scratch that itch over the years, but I think I'm ready for something new but familiar, if that makes sense.
What is your best MMORPG story?
Best story. I'm not sure about the best story, but most memorable I do have. So I'll go with that. So for those who played EQ back in the day, when it launched, one of the most valuable items were the J boots, journeyman boots. So back then I was playing a high elf paladin, and I was always begging people for sows. If I was ever in a dungeon, the minute my sow ran out, I would ask someone to meet me outside. I'll throw them some flat and get rebuffed. I just couldn't live without it. So, eventually, how the story goes, eventually I just, I was running poor, giving everyone my plat. So I decided to camp the J boots. And this is before the Ancient Cyclops quest. So you had to camp them in a dungeon called Nagina. And if I recall, they dropped from a rare NPC. They were a rare drop from a rare NPC, and the name was Dresner. So pretty much I rock up with my paladin, and there's a queue. Everyone's very orderly, and I thought to myself, okay, there's there's quite a few people here. This might take 12 hours or so. And 24 hours later, I think I was second or third in line, and I was still waiting. 7 a.m. the Saturday morning, so I did, WAG, as we call it here, the day of school on Friday. 7 a.m. brother comes in. He's like, "Man, what are you still doing here?" I'm like, I almost got the J boots, but I was pretty tired, so I asked him if he could take over. He played EQ at the time with me, so he took over. And I figured, look, given how long everything was taking, it was going to probably be a few hours till I got my J boots. So there I am, laying in bed, and I'm just too wired from playing EQ for like 24 hours plus. So I couldn't really fall asleep. I was half asleep, and then all of a sudden I hear this cheering. So I rush into the room. And I don't know, this was probably 90 minutes in, if that, after I left. I rush into the room, and my brother's dancing around the place all excited because he managed to loot the J boots. Now, I'm pretty happy, I guess. I'm telling this story, so it did something to me. I was really happy that my brother got the J boots. Therefore, I got the J boots, but I didn't actually loot the J boots myself. So I always remember that story because it felt like a very hollow victory. There was a reward at the end of it, but I just didn't get to loot the J boots myself. That's the one story I always remembered from EQ.
Do you like PvP better or PvE better?
I'll say PvE, though I have had some great experiences with PvP, playing Dark Age of Camelot, for example. But for me, a strong and engaging PvE experience is hard to beat.
Are you main for life or are you an altaholic?
I tend to focus heavily on one character and dabble with alts, but generally what I've found is that after playing a main for a certain period of time, I kind of swap them out and change to another main. So kind of in between. I'm not an altaholic, but I do dabble.
Do you like crafting? And if so, which kind?
I generally do not do crafting. If I do, it's mainly leatherworking because I always feel there is a need for player-made backpacks and they sell very easily.
What is your favorite gaming food and or drink?
I'm not much of an eater whilst gaming, though depending on the day I'm likely to have a drink next to me. So if it's a weekday, it's probably like a glass of red. If it's a weekend, it might be a spirit. So a nice peated whiskey or a heavy bourbon. Recently I've been getting into smoky mezcals, so it's usually the drinking, not the eating.
What is your favorite piece of gaming hardware?
My gaming PC is ancient, so I wouldn't say anything PC related. I'm holding out for Pantheon before I do any rebuilding. If it doesn't need to be current hardware, though, I'll say my old 3DFX Voodoo 2s in SLI. Those were an absolute beast of a pair, and I remember playing EQ and Unreal, the original Unreal, at a 1024 by 768 res, and just thinking, wow, this is real life.
Do you have any gaming profile or social media links you'd like to share?
Nah, I have a few different handles I go by, depending on the platform, but I'm not the type to garnish a following.
Is there anything else you'd like to mention?
Keep up the great work, VR, and to the P Plus folks. It's been a great year and we have a great community, so I'm really excited to see where this is going.
When do you think Pantheon Rise of the Fallen will release? Month, day, year?
Guessing alpha is going to be early 22, and then we have beta. I don't think it's going to be 2023, but I really need to tell myself that just to give myself hope. I think 2023 is pushing it, but I'll go with the 1st of December 2023.
Thank you for watching this Plus Profile. If you would like your own Plus profile, please reach out to me on Discord and we'll make that happen. I also stream on Twitch Monday nights at midnight Eastern Standard Time and Tuesday nights 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with the MMORPG Classes 101. I'd love to see you there. Have a great day. Onward and upward.